I meant to mention this last week. Brew Chance sent this over, but Demetrius Johnson won the ESPN Fighter of the Year at the ESPY Awards. Demetrius Johnson is the third MMA fighter to win the award. He's alongside Ronda Rousey from 2015 and Conor McGregor from 2016. Tremendous award. Beat out the boxers, beat out all the fellow fighters. Really big deal. Congrats to DJ on that. One thing did come up, though. Brew Chance brought this to my attention, but Justin Gaethje versus Eddie Alvarez were announced as the Tough 26 coaches. And Dustin Poirier had come out, and he said that making Eddie Alvarez the coach on that was a big slap in the face. Now, where Poirier comes from on this, if you'll remember, Poirier had fought Eddie. Eddie had used knees that were deemed illegal, and Poirier won by a disqualification. Or did that go to a no contest? Did they call that a no contest? You know what? I think they did. Did they give that to Poirier? They no contested. I think they no contested it, which was wrong. That is what they did. They no contested it, but Eddie should have lost on a DQ. He broke the rule. Okay, you know what? None of that. That's actually not the point of my. That is what happened. Now that I recall that. However, and Poirier's not wrong to feel this way. I'm not here to tell Poirier that he's wrong at all. In fact, as a fan, I thought we were going to see that again. However, the Ultimate Fighter is a huge vehicle, and it is a huge compliment to get put in that position. You're going to get it put on TV a whole bunch. You're going to go into a big fight, which is what Eddie and Gaethje will do. It's likely going to be a main event, even a 5-round affair. Eddie Alvarez, in fairness, even though he did do a violation in that fight, in fairness, he is one half of the biggest gate in MMA history, $17.1 million. Now, he stood across from Conor McGregor, but either way, he stood across from Conor McGregor, and he is one half of the biggest gate in history. And secondly, Eddie is a world champion, and there's no way around that. And regardless to what happened that night and how Dustin feels, a world champion is going to get some opportunities. I would also just offer this one point, and this is not to go against what Dustin said. He has stand in this matter. I do not. I just, to set the table and make sure we tell it fairly. Justin Gaethje called out Eddie. And Justin didn't call out Poirier. He specifically called out Eddie. Well, when Gaethje came in and had that incredible debut and all of a sudden had some steam behind him, when he got elevated to that spot and he called out Eddie, it moved Eddie into that spot. I mean, that's just the way that it happened. I don't believe that Eddie and Poirier's fight and what happened in it played any kind of a factor in this decision as much as Gaethje was this young guy on fire. It was the right weight class that's being contested, and he said Eddie's name. So, yeah, maybe Eddie got a bump on that. I just don't think that Dustin got slighted, even if he feels like he did. I don't think that match factored in.
Well, also, there's a few thoughts I have on that. One, you get your name called by a champion. They see you as worthy, per se, of a fight.
Right.
So that's a compliment in itself. And if the champions especially noticed you, then you're going to get called again, maybe even to compete, whether you lose or win, or specifically if you lose, you're going to get called again because you got that close. Now, also, even if you weren't officially recognized by the people who hand out the trophies, can we be honest for just a minute? The people who... This is a voted and a judged and a biased decision. This was not, I went into a ring and I beat this person. Like how many people were up for an award at the ESPYs, for example? Like who did Demetrius Johnson beat out? Has he fought any of them?
Is this an actual question? I don't know.
It's kind of a real question, but more hypothetical. Has he fought any of them? It's almost apples to oranges, especially if there were like.
It's politics. It's the power of the pen.
Like there, you maybe had a UFC fighter, maybe you had a wrestler, maybe you had a boxer. It's different sports. So who's to say who's the better fighter unless you actually pulled something like Conor is pulling against Mayweather? But then we've talked about this before. If Mayweather fought McGregor, we all know who wins, and most people are predicting correctly, I believe, that Mayweather's going to kick McGregor around, but at least he was trying. But you can't really say who's the best fighter in that category. But the fact that you got mentioned by the people who have bias, have politics, that you got acknowledged and nominated for best fighter of the year, That's something. If you got that's almost not even a snub.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. There's not I think maybe we could say it this way. There's not a ton of honor in being Fighter of the Year for Demetrius, but boy, there's a compliment there.
It's a compliment, and it's huge recognition.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, it should make him feel great. Is there honor because he earned that through a competitive atmosphere where he went head to head with these other fighters?
Where he actually tried to fight everybody, kind of thing.
Right. No, there was not a competitive architecture in place, but that's what this sport is. There's not a competitive architecture that put Conor and Floyd there, but boy, are we happy that it happened. And I don't want Poirier to feel slighted. I just don't. Listen, Gaethje had a good performance. He got put into that spot. Gaethje called out Eddie. Eddie accepted the challenge. Boom, there's your coaches. Is that right or wrong for ratings? Or I don't know, but that's what happened. I don't want Poirier to have his feelings hurt. And Poirier should know this. Those guys are going to be put on ice for almost a year until that show's done, until it finally gets put out, until it's all the way complete. I mean, it's going to be 9 months. Poirier could get a couple of fights in between then. And I can tell you as a Poirier fan, I want to see him. So maybe a little silver lining. Maybe I'm trying to smooth that over a little bit. But I do bring up a fair point that is the way that's going to go. Another thing that Brew Chance brought to us, The Rock. Dwayne Johnson had said 10 years ago he was very close to jumping into MMA himself. He was going to train with Greg Jackson, and he was going to get in there. I do not believe him, but I do not care. That's a cool thought. And The Rock would have sold well. He'd have not fared very well. But if he could have got in there 10 years ago, pre-USADA, he probably could have got a fight in there. And whether it went well or not, I guess we would just have to wonder what could have been, because from a showman standpoint, that guy stands alone.
Well, and true, the what could have been discussions, the speculation's always the fun part.
Agreed.
The results, you can dissect them for however long you want to, and then it's done, unless there was like real controversy. But then the will they, the won't they part, that's what makes especially the fight matchups so great. Because we talk about dream matchups all the time. Like, who would we want to see fight all the time? And then you talk about how you saw those fights back in training all the time. And then you say, I wish we had a video camera. That's one of my biggest regrets. And but the rest of us, we can only just live on what people who saw that in those gyms said, because we never saw those matchups. But we still talk about them.
Sure.
We talk about it all the time.
Some of the best memories I have is stuff that I saw in the practice room, matches that would have been put on pay-per-view, but you could never see it. It was teammate versus teammate. One more rumor, and this one will be fun for speculation, is that Cyborg is on her way to WWE for an appearance in exchange for Brock Lesnar. Now, I do not buy this rumor, because this is not apples to apples. Okay, Brock is the hugest star ever. Cyborg's a gal that been trying to get some notoriety. She's known amongst the hardcore fans, but she's not moving the needle. Now, we're having a totally different conversation when and if Cyborg wins that championship. I'm coming to you with this is how quickly the landscape can change. You would have asked me, Justin Gaethje is going to coach an Ultimate Fighter 1 month ago. I would have laughed at you, and everybody else would have too. Now, yeah, absolutely. That's a main event guy. Can't wait to see him fight Eddie. So things do change very quickly. The WWE, that's always a couple of steps ahead. Let's just say if there's, here's the thing why I've always sold this Cyborg thing. Nah, that's not true. First off, she's not well enough known. Second, what in the hell are you going to do with her? Fight people don't really know who she is, let alone wrestling people. Her English isn't good enough. What are you going to do with her? But those guys are very creative. Now, let's say that the WWE can convince Ronda to come back and do an angle with Cyborg. The big show-off, showdown, the big face-off that even MMA wasn't. Coker couldn't make that match. He had them both. Dana couldn't make that match. He had them both under contract. What if Vince could be the one to finally put on the face-off between Cyborg and Ronda? Would that then be worth Lesnar? Maybe, actually. Yeah, it might be. I just don't know that I buy that they're trying to work a trade. Vince and Dana have a good, solid relationship. Hey, man, I think I can do something here. Can I get this guy? He wants to do it. Hey, man, can I get this gal? She wants to do something over here. I think I can do some business with her. And they both just kind of said yes. So I don't know that there's any horse trading going on there. That part I would sell. I don't totally buy Cyborg to the WWE because I don't know what you would do with her. Whenever they bring somebody in, particularly at a WrestleMania standpoint, they brought in Ronda, but everybody knew who Ronda was. It was right at the right time. They brought in Floyd Mayweather, but everybody knew who she was. It was the right time. To go back to the 80s, they had a deal where Mike Tyson was supposed to go to the WWE. He got knocked out by Buster Douglas. They pulled Tyson's deal, and they brought in Buster Douglas. One thing about the WWE is they understand what iron is hot at the right time. So that's where I don't see the Cyborg now. But if you are looking to the future, she is likely to become the champion. And if you could insert Ronda, all of a sudden you've got something there. Is it big enough for wrestling? No, but is it big enough for a 6 to 8 minute spot at WrestleMania? Yeah, sure it is.
On that note, really quick, you're mentioning WD knows when the iron's hot. Did you see that the dad of that guy who got drafted by the Lakers, LeVar Ball?
Okay.
He went out. So I think Lonzo Ball got drafted. I think it was the number 3 pick by the Lakers. Yeah, you saw that.
I know everything you're going to say.
Yeah, LeVar Ball came out with his kid, Lonzo, out to the WDE ring, and LeVar set the crowd on fire. I don't think there was a match. I just saw him come out, take his shirt off, and scream at the guy who was going to fight. And people were like, we don't think it was stupid to think that they could grab LeVar Ball for competitions, but they were like, that was good. That was what people wanted to see because LeVar was hot.
Everything that old man Ball is up to lately has been smart. I mean, he's made claims about his boys. One of his boys isn't all that great of a player in comparison. Frankly, 2 of them aren't all that great in comparison. But he's making claims that they whipped Larry Bird, they'd whip Michael Jordan, they beat Kobe right now, they could outdo Shaq in his heyday. I mean, he's coming out and making these wild claims. He then came out with a BS thing that Nike had offered him a $500 million deal for all 3 boys, and he turned it down. It's not enough. The bad news there was Nike came out and goes, we didn't offer him any kind of a deal. But you see what he's trying to do there, right? He's trying to create this media hype, and it worked. I don't even follow basketball. I heard about it. Here I am telling you about it today. I mean, there were some smart things there with what he was doing. So, and it sounds like you liked him. It sounds like you liked the work and the presentation they did, too, from an entertainment standpoint.
It was a good hit, and let me tell you, it's an old saying, any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it turned out bad or wrong. If your name was in the media, you had your moment, and he knows how to build on it. We got to give him that. You
have to give him that. I fully agree with you. So let's see what they do at WrestleMania. I just don't know that I buy the horse trading. There is a rumor that Brock wants to come back. I don't buy that. The USADA thing grabbed him. And, as you look at him, he's all of a sudden put that 20 pounds back on that he lost. So it's like, I don't think he wants to be in the pool anymore. Hey, you want to know something? Let me switch gears a little bit.